Okay, I think do let me know if you are taking mocks or if you're feeling okay with mocks. If you're facing any issue right now which seemed to be a non-issue earlier. Any of those things, I think.
Hi, sir. Good evening. I wanted to ask actually just two related questions to mocks. So, firstly, I've recently started giving previous year mocks. I am scoring pretty well, but there is that doubt in my mind that am I getting more marks because I'm in a more comfortable setup? And the second thing also is that the previous year mocks seem to go better than the mocks, so the dash cats I'm taking. So I'm also pretty confused about that. So I'm not getting like a very nice understanding of where I'm standing. So is that a general thing, and how am I supposed to interpret it?
No, I think if you're doing well in either previous year's papers or mocks, that is always something that you should take confidence from. You should not doubt yourself, which I think is a very common thing. Many of us, me included, we have imposter syndrome where we feel that, okay, things are working out well, but maybe there's something I'm missing. Okay. That always, that lack of confidence is a very common thing, but we should try to first accept it that and try to logically beat it. That is the first thing. Second thing is, if you're doing well in previous year's papers, that I think is the best way in which you can assess how you're doing. I'm assuming that you haven't seen these questions earlier. So in that case, I think if you're taking these mocks for these previous year's papers for the first time, I think you're definitely on the right track. The second thing I would tell you is, this again is an example that I give about one student I talked to, I think 1 year back or so. He was a Cracku student. Now, and he did very well in the examination. He joined IIM Ahmedabad. Okay. I don't remember his name, but his interview also is there on YouTube. He was one guy from Kerala. Anyway, I told him that, okay, in dash cats and all, you were scoring around 97 percentile, 98 percentile. But on the day of the examination, how were you able to score 99.84? He did exceptionally well in the examination. So, and when I was talking to him in the interview also, I could figure out that this is a very mature fellow. He is a very sorted guy. He is like not in any like self-doubt. So he told me that, okay, in the last 15 days before the examination, I used to take a lot of mocks. And before every mock, for 10-15 minutes, I used to sit in front of the laptop and I used to tell myself that the mock I'm taking is the actual examination. So he used to just keep himself in that kind of an illusion that this is the actual examination to mentally prepare. So in the last 2 weeks, he basically went through that examination fear so many times that on the day of the examination, he was relatively much calmer as compared to his peers. So on the day of the examination, he was able to outperform everybody else. And that I really liked. I thought that was such a nice strategy. And I keep advising every student to do that. Where before you start a mock, try to get into that zone. Try to like get calm, switch off your phone, tell your parents that, okay, I'm going to take a mock, don't disturb me for 2 hours. Keep everything aside, sit in front of the laptop for 10-15 minutes, and then try to tell yourself that this is the actual examination. And try to get that pressure and try to believe that this is the actual examination. When you do it, you will notice that your brain actually believes it after a point of time. It will accept what you're telling it and then take the examination. And on that day of the examination, you will definitely perform better.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Abhishek Pal asked, if there is any other question, you can just ask, man. Revant, I think, raised his hand. Just ask the question, dude. It's okay. I don't know how to, like, Rohit raised hand. Okay. Yeah. Rohit, you
Hi,
can ask.
sir.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. So, what is happening right now is I am facing a downfall in my VARC scores, and that is mounting pressure on me due to this approaching P-Day. And this in turn is reducing my total scores in the recent mocks. So, how do I just offload this pressure?
Okay. One thing again I would tell a lot of students is you should be very kind to yourself. Okay. You should basically also acknowledge how much effort you're putting in. I'm assuming that all of you are putting in efforts. So try to motivate yourself by telling yourself that you're putting in a lot of efforts and you're trying your best, but sometimes the mock scores fluctuate and it is okay. So you should not put pressure on yourself. Like we see people, right? Many people say that, okay, parents are putting pressure on the kids. What exactly is happening is a parent puts undue pressure or undue expectations and the kid feels like nervous on the day and then doesn't perform well. In the same way, we should not put excessive pressure on ourselves. We should just appreciate the effort that we are putting in. And if you're not doing well in a mock, it is okay. So try to lessen the pressure on yourself. Try to be very kind to yourself, very empathetic to yourself. That, okay, you're putting in effort. Sometimes things are not working out. Sometimes you are making mistakes in the mocks. You are underperforming. You are getting nervous. All of that is okay. Try to look at yourself as a friend. I know it sounds crazy, but that is something that I do, where I tell myself that I put in effort, but I made mistakes and it is okay. I try to look at myself as a third person and I try to be like very nice to myself so that there is less pressure of taking a mock or taking an examination or doing anything. That I would say is the first thing. The second thing is many people, their scores dip in the last few days to the examination because of anxiety, because of pressure, because of like all of these things coming closer. What I would tell you is accept it that, okay, this is something that is happening. It doesn't mean that whatever effort you have put in for the last few months is going to go waste. It is just that on the day of the mock, in that 2 hours, you're not able to like have that composure to do better. And maybe you're also doubting yourself during the exam when it is happening. So try to accept it and try to overcome it. So don't worry about these things. Just focus in VARC on RCs. Like I tell many times, the accuracy in RC is extremely important for you to do well in the examination. VA accuracy can fluctuate, but RC accuracy has to be more or less consistent.
With respect to RSS itself, so currently in my mods, usually I score around 50, 55 to 60. But the only type of RC that still gets me stung on her day is the philosophical RCs or the kind of RCs which are way too abstract. Like you cannot even tell the difference between what is a context, what is the sentence that is putting up the context, which is the topic sentence, because they're just relating with by throwing names around all over the place. How do you actually like? My only afraid is if I get such an RC in the key day, how does one prepare for tackling with such type of RCs? Because these are the only ones I've still not been able to solve.
See, like I tell again, I told this in many of my streams. VA, that VARC is subjective. Now, in the actual examination, in VARC, it won't be subjective. If you're asking me how do I know it, because I've taken CAT so many times, I know it. After the examination is over also, I know what the discussions happen because I've seen it happen for the last few years. After the examination is over, in each of the slot, out of 24 questions in verbal, when people prepare their own answer piece, right, like just on the basis of like memory and all, out of 24, people agree on around 21. Only like 3 or 4 answers, there is a disagreement. It is not, but suppose you give only the mock questions and you discuss with a bunch of friends without looking at the key, the variance will be quite a lot. Everybody will be saying, no, this is the answer, no, that is the answer for this question. But on the actual examination, the variance or the subjective element in verbal ability is much lesser because they set much better papers. There is much less ambiguity in the options. So that is something that I know for sure. Many people also ask me why my scores in the mocks, like even verbal, keeps fluctuating. The reason I tell also is very simple, that in the actual examination, it is very different. In the actual examination, there is much less subjectivity. Options are much clearer. So don't worry that, okay, this kind of a thing can happen on that day. Having said that, if you're facing difficulty in one particular type of RCs, okay, the passage, then you have to overcome it. You have enough time. So if you have identified that I'm not doing well in philosophical RCs, what I would definitely recommend you to do is find 10 passages on philosophy, read them. Because on the day of the examination, a philosophical RC might come and you should not struggle. Secondly, you should not have that mental block. You should not have that anxiety that, okay, if a philosophical RC comes, I won't do well. And hoping that, okay, philosophical RC should not come. Because that is unnecessary baggage in your mind. You don't want that. You want to feel that any RC, I'm going to do well. Okay, or at least there should not be any phobia about one particular type of RCs. That will ensure that you will underperform on the day of the examination. To overcome it, like I'm telling you, search for 10 passages on philosophy, okay, which are around 500 to 700 words, read them. That is sufficient, and put full effort and full concentration while you're reading them. That will at least ensure that your phobia about philosophical RCs will go away. Like again, I'll tell you one more example of my own thing. Okay, again, I mentioned it earlier, but basically when I used to struggle in verbal and I used to feel that, okay, like dry passages, I'm not able to read well. Okay, I felt that, okay, only in the passages that interest me, I'm able to concentrate. But in the boring ones, I'm not able to do well. And then I started reading Architectural Digest because I used to find it extremely boring. But I felt that if I'm able to hold my concentration in Architectural Digest, then I can hold my concentration in any passage. And for a few weeks, I was just reading Architectural Digest. Very boring articles, but I used to put effort and try to ensure that my concentration stays well when I'm reading a passage. That helped my concentration levels quite a lot. So again, if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it. Why can't you do it? So if you're feeling difficulty in any one type of RC, just find 10-15 passages and read.
Sir, regarding your like on the comment on like the subjectivity will decrease, sir, I don't know if you remember or not. After the CAT 2024 slot 3, like Saili ma'am herself told that the like no options were like that yes, this is 100% the answer. It was somewhat shaky. So so that's one thing I wanted to.
No, it can happen. I'm saying out of 24 questions, it can happen in say 2-3 questions. Okay, I'm not saying everybody agrees on all the 24 questions. That happens only in quant, where everybody agrees on the answer for the 22 questions. In verbal, around 21 questions, everyone agrees. 3 questions, people will disagree, people will argue. But in a mock, it will not be 21 and 3. In a mock, out of 24 questions, if you don't give the answer key, my opinion is that people will argue about 12 and people will agree on 12 answers. So 12 will be like subjective. That is my belief. I might be wrong. But my understanding is on the day of the examination, VRC will not be subjective. Most of the questions. Some might be, but most of them will not. But yeah, you can disagree.
Okay, got it.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, in recent mocks, I've seen that by the time I come to the QA section, there is a little burnout that I feel. And sometimes my accuracy is not up to the mark, which I used to have in previous mocks. And this has been happening for the past around 3-4 mocks only. So, sir, how to deal with such burnouts when you reach the last section? And like what wrong is happening because it's been happening in the last 2-3 weeks.
Okay, that is a very valid concern. Again, it is good that you have identified it. What I would tell you is a few things. One thing is, I noticed that when people are slightly physically fitter, they can also concentrate more. Okay, so try to see if you can maybe go for a few runs in the evening so that you are in a zone. Your mental thoughts are more calmer so that you can concentrate longer. Physical stamina improves mental stamina. That is my belief. That is one thing I would tell you. The second thing I would tell you is after the mock is over, after 2 hours are over, before you start analyzing the mock, okay, try to take some daily target. Try to take some solve like 15-20 minutes. Try to solve some other questions. Just building your stamina. You should not feel that when 1 hour 50 minutes are over, you are feeling so tired. Okay, and then you are just waiting for the last 10 minutes to be over because then your performance in the last 10 minutes will not be good. In the same way, for example, if you are preparing for a 10-kilometer run, I would advise you to run 12 kilometers so that in the last few meters, you're not like super burnt out or tired. Here also, one thing I would advise you to do is after taking every mock, try to find some questions and try to solve 5 more questions, 5 more quant questions, so that you are very tired, your accuracy has suffered, but at least you are mentally preparing yourself for putting in the effort, not for 2 hours, but for say 2 hours 20 minutes. So that on the day of the examination, your burnout will be lesser.
Sir, right after the mock,
Right after the mock, this is just a strategy that I'm suggesting. You can think about it. Okay. Right after the mock is over, before you look at the answers, or you can look at your score, doesn't because you'll be having that curiosity to see how much you scored. But don't get up and then don't go out and chill with your friends. Right after the mock is over, okay. After checking the score or doing like small things, after 1 or 2 minutes, start answering 5 or 10 questions. So that when your brain is tired, also it is knowing that it still has to solve questions. So that you will get used to staying concentrated for at least 2 hours. Basically, I'm telling you that if you're preparing for a 10-kilometer run, it is always advisable for you to run 13-14 kilometers just to be physically present.
Hey, sir.
Yeah, man. Hi.
So my question is this: couple of months ago, when you had the 100 percentile video, you said that have one section where no matter what, you always score above, say, 40-45, right?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for me, I still don't think that's the case because I would say quant is probably one of the sections where I can always reach like 40, but 45 still seems like a mental block. And I've seen that only in the balls which have performed like really well, like 110 plus, 120 plus. It's always in the case that in LRDI somehow or the other I have more than 30 rather than like in early 20s or something. So regarding this, in the last 30 days, what would you suggest? Would you suggest to stick with one section or would you suggest to essentially figure out the strategies and everything?
See, in general, what I would tell you is, it might sound controversial, but for a student, they should always aim to the easiest or the best return on investment for your time is if you work on your weakest section. Okay. Now, by that I mean, if say you are feeling that okay, in one section I'm clearly struggling, put in effort in that section. But suppose you are doing okay in all the 3 sections. Suppose you are scoring above 25 in all the sections. In the last 1 month, I would say try to go like full crazy in one section. That I think is definitely a strategy that you can look at. Basically, you have to figure out where you have to put in that time, because time is limited. What is going to get you easier, like say 3 marks or 5 marks? Is it that, say, if you're getting like say 25 in verbal, I would say put in effort in verbal. Try to read a lot of RCs, try to read a lot of passages, try to solve a lot of RCs, because in verbal, increasing from 25 to 40 is definitely easier than increasing from 40 to 55 in quant. You understand what I'm saying, right? If you're, say, scoring 25 in verbal, so you have to see that getting those 10 marks or 15 marks more, in which section is it possible? Just because you are not doing well in one section doesn't mean that you should not put effort there. In fact, I would suggest you to put effort there. Okay, that is one strategy I would tell you. The second strategy I would tell you is, in general, for somebody who is aiming for 99.9, 99.95, that was where I actually mentioned that in one section you have to completely ace it. But to be honest, if you're trying to get into a top IM, you don't need 99.99. You can do with 99.8 if you're a gem. So you have to focus on what is applicable for you.
Thank you.
Where in the last 30 days now, there is also a concern of burnout by doing too much. What do you think in the last 30 days? Do you think one should focus on the volume of what they do or on the quality of what they do?
See, I'll tell you my honest answer. Some of you might not like it, but I'll tell you. Okay. Now, if you get a feeling, like I talk to so many students, and some people in the last 2-3 weeks, they tell me that, okay, sir, I just want the examination to be over. Okay, I'm just waiting for the examination to be over. I don't tell them anything, but if somebody is saying that, that is not the right path. Okay, I know immediately that, okay, this guy is feeling burnt out. Okay, I try to like tell him to do something, but essentially, if you're feeling that urge that, okay, I just want the examination to be over, okay, somehow I just want it to be over, that is not a good mental space to be in. That is like pointing towards burnout. On the other hand, if somebody is feeling that, okay, CAT is coming, I have 30 days, I want to do well in CAT, I want to like, this is my opportunity for me to do well, show to people, show to my parents, show to XYZ. Okay, this is basically something that you are not like super stressed about it wanting to get over. I think it is very natural that you want the examination to be over, to be relaxed, but that should not be like a burning urge that, okay, I just want it to be over. So try to avoid that. That is the first thing. The second thing I would tell you is, try to control your anxiety. Don't think about the examination or what it means or how important it is. All of this, if the more you think about it and make it bigger and bigger in your head, it continues to become bigger and bigger in your head. Like I'm telling you, you have to enjoy this process. This 30 days, you have to enjoy the process. You should enjoy that nervousness, that it should be like exciting, not making you anxious. So try to go out, try to have a perfect schedule. Every day you should have a schedule. And that schedule should definitely ensure that you are spending some time outside of your house or room or office or somewhere. Go on a walk, okay, there for at least 35-40 minutes, okay. You're just talking to a friend, okay, somewhere you're just getting out. Because if you're cooped up in your room, it will just create bad mental space. So don't do that. So try to ensure that in this last 30 days, you have a disciplined day. A disciplined day will ensure that you won't get burnt out. And the disciplined day should have time for studies. It should have time to go out, time to have social things also, because humans are social people. If each of these 30 days, you should have something where you talk to your parents or your friends or somebody or the other, where it is just calming. It is not all about CAT. If it becomes all about CAT, if every day, every hour is about CAT, you'll get burnt out. No, you'll get into that space that I described earlier. You just want the examination to be over. You don't want it. On the other hand, you should enjoy, like some people enjoy going to a gym, right? If you're going into the gym, you are tired, but you actually enjoy that workout. You feel tired, but you actually enjoy it. This also should be like that, where you are studying every day for say 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, but whatever time is there, you should actually enjoy that effort. You should feel that, okay, after spending say 4 hours studying, at the end of it, you should feel that, okay, I've solved so many questions. Now you should feel proud of yourself that I put in this much effort. So you have to manage it. I would just say don't take mocks in the last 4-5 days. Other than that, just have a disciplined schedule. I think that would suffice. Yeah, Malo, you can ask.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Sorry if this is a repetitive question. I
It's okay.
was actually unable to join in time. So I just wanted to ask that actually there are a lot of options to do right now. Like I was just thinking that there are some PYQs. There is lots of mocks that we have not attempted, like some of the take-home ones or the ones that were not proctored. Other than that, there is also the time for revising notes and all, and also to go through the previous mocks that we have already attempted, but just trying to see what mistakes we make and all. So I was just kind of confused, like how should I prioritize it? So like if you had to say that two things out of these that we should do in the last 30 days, so which would it be?
I would tell you one thing. Okay, if you have not attempted previous year's papers, solve them. You have to take mocks regularly. By that I mean you have to take one. From now there are 30 days left, right? I want you to take around say 8 mocks, 7-8 mocks in these 30 days. Space them out. That is one thing. Second thing is I also want you to solve all the previous year's questions. They are very important, man. Okay. In other than mocks, I would say they are the most important thing. Solve as many questions from previous year's papers as possible. Okay. Start from 2024 and go back. 2024, all the 3 slots. You can avoid 2023 because I think it is just a extremely difficult paper. It makes it will be just demotivating for no upside. People will just lose confidence by solving the quant section of 2023. I don't expect the paper this year to be that difficult. So just avoid 2023, but after 2024, you can go back 2024, 2022, 2021, and so on. So solve as many questions as you can. They are a very good source of questions, and you should use it. Like I mentioned earlier, some of the mocks might be either very difficult. I hear about some of our competitors that some of the mocks are just crazy difficult. Okay, we have a lot of CAT aspirants in our office, so we discuss. And many of them unanimously agree that one of the competitors' papers, mocks are crazy difficult. And then I feel, what is the point of that? If you're taking that mock, if you're just feeling demotivated, then what is the point of taking that mock? You don't even gain anything. So instead of wasting time doing those things, I would say solve all the previous year's questions. Definitely. Okay, as many as you can. The more you spend time solving previous year's questions, the better it is. You should not feel that, okay, is it a good use of time or not? It is always a good use of your time. Okay, except CAT 2023. Every other previous year's questions after CAT 2017, because the pattern changed drastically around 2017. So after 2017 till 24, with the exception of 2023, I would say solve as many questions as you can. Once you finish all of it, then you can look for other sources. That is the first thing. Another thing I would tell you is take 7-8 mocks. Don't take a lot of mocks towards the last 3-4 days. One other thing I would tell you is try to picture yourself on the day of the examination. Try to mentally prepare yourself on the day of the examination. Because on the day of the examination, if you see the people in the examination hall, you can see the nervousness or anxiety on their faces. Okay, everybody is nervous, unanimously. But you should be less nervous than most of the people. You should feel because you should be prepared for it, and you will be prepared for it if you think about it, if you picture yourself before taking every mock, all the things that I actually mentioned. These are the 3 things I would tell you to do. Yeah, Aro, you can ask your question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, when we talked last time, I asked you the same thing. Thing is, I have my college exams from 24 to 29. That is the day before the CAT exam pretend. And at that time, you asked me to be mentally prepared. So throughout that time, throughout this time, I have always thought about that. I have 10 less days to prepare. But in the last 20, 30 days, now how to prepare about for that, not mentally, but strategically, like what to study in that 7, 8 days and just before exams. Because I don't think I would be able to give a lot of mocks and BYQs given the exams are every single day. So 6 days consecutively.
I would say, see, it is, I know you're an adult, so I'll be again honest. It is an unfortunate situation to be in. We can't put a better spin there. Okay. But it's okay. You have to deal with it. Sometimes in life, you can't get everything, everything won't work out. This, unfortunately, is a situation where most of your competitors will have a better sense, better way in which they can use the last 1 week. In your case, that won't be the case. If I were in your shoes, what I would do is I would just focus on the examinations, my college examinations, because I personally, I can't do 2 things at the same time. I get nervous, I get anxious. I don't do both of them well if I'm trying to do both. On the other hand, personally, I am the kind of guy who wants to do just one thing at a time. So I would just focus on 24 to 29, just on the examinations. If I feel like it, if I'm just taking a break or something, maybe I'll try to solve some, like I mentioned earlier, previous year's questions. Just say 3 or 4, 4 or 5, something like that. Or maybe just look at the formula book. Cracku formula book is there. If you don't have the formula book, just download the formula PDF from Cracku. It has a bunch of all the formulas that are important. Just keep looking at that formulas once in a while. But focus mostly on your examinations, because I feel if you're trying to do both, at least, if I'm in that situation, I would do very poorly in both of them. I don't want it. And then mentally prepare that, okay, after 29th, I should be mentally switched on. That on 29th, I should try to give the best that I can on the next day. Because at the end of the day, you're just losing like a week. Now, try to prepare as much as you can beforehand and focus on the examinations. And on 29th, just mentally switch back on to CAT. That is what I would do. It is not the ideal situation, but at least that is what can be done, making the best of a bad situation.
What about was save a few daily targets? I'm not doing daily targets now, and at that time, just 1 hour every day give one daily target per day daily target.
That also is fine. Yeah, that also is fine. That also is fine. There is no problem with that. Basically, I wanted you to solve 3-4 questions. If you want to solve the daily targets and get it done in 1 hour, that also is fine. Yeah. Yeah. One sec. Somebody can ask one. Again, I can't see who raised their hand. Sorry. Anybody who raised their hand can ask.
Sir, yes, sir. May I go ahead?
Yeah.
So, from the last 20-25 mocks, I've seen that my squads have plummeted in the range 100 to 110. And I'm finding it difficult to go past that score. Although I had a few outings in the range 120, 130. But they are very few number compared to other mocks that I've given in the range 100 to 110. And because the score is already in that range, I'm finding it very difficult to see flaws so significant that it can add another 10, 50, 20 marks in more score. So how to get past that 110 score or 150 score?
Can you tell me how you're scoring in each of the 3 sections, verbal, quant, and LRDA?
So mostly if I have a decent enough mock, I'll score somewhere around 40, 45 in VARC, somewhere around 28 to 32 in LRDA, and in quants it would be somewhere around 32, 35 in that range.
Okay. See, if I'm in your situation, I would focus a lot on quant because LRDA, it is tough to improve. You need a lot of luck calls on the day to score more than 30 if you are being realistic. It can happen, but it is not something that you can really improve quite a lot. Just ensure that you're not making any silly mistakes. By silly that is one thing. Where on the day of the examination, your silly mistakes are lower, which is the exam taking strategy. The other thing that I would say is don't make any, if there's any low hanging fruit in the exam strategy, use it in the sense that attempt all the verbal questions, which I'm assuming you're already doing if you're scoring around 45 marks. Don't like leave one RC or something like that. Try to attempt all the verbal questions. That is one. Second, theta questions, don't leave any theta questions. Sometimes you have to guess, but you should always guess all the theta questions. Many people in LRDA, I noticed that they don't answer they don't input anything for theta. Don't do that. If you have like say 5 minutes left in the LRDA section, you have solved 2 sets. In 3-4 minutes, you can't solve another set. And then many people just give up and they feel, okay, I can't solve it. But at that time, use those 3-4 minutes smartly. Try to look at all the sets, especially sets which have theta questions. Try to get a sense of the set and try to make educated guesses in theta. For example, if I mention this again, there was one year, I think 2020, where there was a set on high-low. It was a game which had 6 rounds. And I just saw the gist of it. I saw that, okay, this has 6 rounds. This is some high-low game. And other than that, I didn't understand anything because there was not a lot of time left. But there were 4 theta questions in that set. It was a 6-question set. 4 of them were theta. And it was all about which round did this particular thing happen. And I could guess that, okay, it is mostly not the first round because then they won't ask the question. It mostly won't be the 6th round because it won't be 1 or 6. So basically, I was left with 2, 3, 4, 5. So out of the 4, I put 2 as 3 and 2 as 4. I was just making random guesses. But it was not, again, stupid guesses because I knew there were 6 rounds. And out of those 4 theta, I got 2 theta correct just by random guessing. Many times, even in the mocks attempt, even in the actual examination, by spending 1 minute trying to get a gist of the set and making some educated guess. Roughly, it is this round or something like that. Many times I get at least 1 theta correct by guess, or I come very close to getting 1 theta question correct. For example, sometimes I put it as like say 12 and it becomes 6. Those kind of things just by spending say 1 or 2 minutes on a set, trying to get a rough sense. I either get at least 1 question correct or come very close. These are again exam day tactics where you should not give up or not make the best use of whatever time you have. Once you are clearing all of this, I would say in your specific situation, there is a scope for improvement in quant. If you're already scoring 40 to 45 in verbal, it is difficult to improve much more than that. with a lot of confidence. Okay, but you can improve from 30 to 35 in quant. So again, try to figure out what is it in quant that you should do to get, like, say, 2 more questions correct. What are the topics in which you are not doing well? Are you making any types of silly mistakes? Are you repeating any mistakes? Some of the common mistakes that people make in quant, I can give you. For example, people spend a lot of time on any particular question. Are you able to see all the questions? Are you able to make, are you making any silly mistakes? Are you getting stuck in any question? Are you seeing all the 22 questions? Are you running out of time? All of these things try to figure out, and you basically have to figure out a way in which you're getting 2 additional questions correct in quant. That should be your strategy, where you analyze the mock also in so much depth that you try to identify what is the weakness that you are repeating, what is the mistake that you're repeating in quant. What should you do to get 1 question correct? Once you think like this and try to solve it, that is when you will find some growth. But in your specific case, I will advise you to focus on quant.
Another connected doubt to this is that last year when I was preparing, I had QA as my best section, but I used to generally get a minimum of 30-40 questions correct, and that would go even up to 60-70 at times. And I had my VA section weaker last year. This time, from the start itself, I started preparing around June. So from the start itself, I prepared more ferociously for my VA, and lesser work was done on my QA, and which has resulted in the flip situation happening. Now I'm scoring.
No, I would say that maybe it is just psychological. Maybe you feel that because you put so much effort in verbal and your verbal score has increased, maybe you're trying to feel this nervousness that, okay, this year I didn't put so much effort in quant. That is why I'm struggling in quant. You're not, okay? And you won't forget whatever you know in quant in, like, say, 6 months. That's not happening. That is not logical also. It is just, I think, your psychological fear. What I would tell you is, if you want to get like really good, okay, there is still time, right? Today is 31st August, October. For the next 4 days, okay, just focus completely on quant. Just take books and every day solve 120 questions in quant, so that you know that, okay, I put so much effort, now I will definitely get better. Just to get that psychological thing out of your head that maybe you were like neglecting quant. Just for 4 days. Just 4 days, try to tell yourself what is the maximum number of quant questions I can solve in this 4 days. Okay, it should be a challenge for yourself. And go crazy, be obsessed every day, track how many questions you're solving every day. Okay, from morning to evening, when you're eating lunch, when you're doing this, when you're doing that, okay, just solve quant questions for 4 days. So that on the 5th day, on 5th of November, you will feel that, okay, I put so much effort, now I'm going to take a mock and I'm going to do well. So that you will get that psychological thing out of your head.
Sure, sir.
Hi, sir. Aryan this side. Am I audible?
Aryan, yeah. Tell me, Aryan. You're Aryan, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, sir, I have 2 questions. My first question is, so basically, as you said, that you can, go all in on a particular section and you do really well if you want to score like 99.9 or something like that. So that is not really the case for me. I am actually doing good in 2 sections, that is LRD and QA, but I'm not going like above 50 in any single section.
Okay.
So that is the situation for me. VARC for me is okay-ish. So right now for preparation, I have done my PYQs and I'm currently doing all the important questions and expected questions that you see. So I'm currently preparing from those. So that is my, how do I like improve, or am I going on the right path, or how should I improve anything, or should I add anything into my schedule? That is my first question. And my second question is, my NMAT is scheduled on 22nd of November. So that actually falls kind of in between all the preparations and everything. So I have to like revise things that are specific to NMAT and not really part of CAT syllabus. So how do I manage that, and when should I start for that as well? So these are my 2 questions.
Okay. I'll first answer the second one with respect to NMAT. I think it is something which I think is good. You might be wondering that, okay, it might be a distraction before CAT and all. I don't think that way. One of the key difference between students is how they perform on the day of the examination. Even 2 equally competent aptitude-wise students, the difference in the exam ability, exam taking strategy because of their nervousness or how they perform on the day of the examination varies quite a lot. It is so huge and extremely important. Okay. Now, and because you are taking an examination on November 22nd, it is also a very serious examination. You will get that experience of holding your nerve, and then that will definitely help you on 1 week later on November 29th, because it is like a much more serious mock. Like I was telling you in the start of this session, that you should imagine yourself being in the mock. You should tell yourself that this is the actual examination. In your particular case, on November 22nd, you're actually taking an examination. So that experience will definitely help you on November 29th as far as the exam performance is concerned. So if you're thinking of rescheduling and all, I would recommend you to not do it. Secondly, I know you have, when you want to prepare for NMAT, maybe I would say the NMAT related things, maybe try to prepare not too much, maybe in the last 3-4 days, I think should be sufficient, because there is a decent amount of overlap between CAT and NMAT. That is what I would suggest. Last 3-4 days, focus only on NMAT, but otherwise focus mostly on CAT, and that NMAT experience will help you. As far as your earlier question about verbal, quant, and LRDI, it is good that you're doing well in LRDI and quant. Now, there is no need for anybody to aim to do exceptionally well in one section, especially if it is coming at a cost at any other section. Okay. So if you're scoring 40 plus in quant and doing pretty well in LRDI, you are already doing pretty well in these two. Now focus on VARC. VARC, I would recommend you to solve RCs, read passages, try to have a diverse set of reading habits, so that if any topic comes, the reason for that is simple. Okay, on the day of the examination, like somebody was saying earlier in the session, that that person hates philosophical arts. So if on the day of the examination a philosophical arts comes, you can't concentrate as easily. You'll have to put a lot of effort to concentrate. But suppose you read a couple of articles on philosophical arts, even if you say read a couple of articles on say Greek philosophy, but on the day of the examination the RC is about Indian philosophy, which is related to it, still you will be able to concentrate. You will be able to at least know something because you have read something about Greek philosophy, like say 1 week back. Even if this is about Indian philosophy, you will still feel that, okay, I know something, it seems like mildly familiar. That is why I would say try to spend this time to focus on VA and RC, try to read a lot, try to improve your comprehension skills and your concentration skills. That is what I would advise you to do.
Thank you.
There was somebody who was asking, some girl.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Thank you. I wanted to actually get a DILR strategy route here. So in some exams, what happens is I've already spent like 10 minutes in a set. I've solved it completely, and then I realize, okay, there's some mistake. Would you recommend at this point to just move on and pick up another set, or work it back? Because it's also happened that I've moved on, completed another one, sometimes in 10-15 minutes. And sometimes I've tried to do the same set again, and even like 20 minutes later, I can't do it. Whereas sometimes I've tried to resolve and I've done it. So this is, I think, one thing that's very complicated in my head. I don't understand what's the best strategy here.
In DLR, basically what happens is, when first I look at, I think many people, I told this many times also, I first look at all the 4 sets, all 4 sets or 5 sets, okay, all the sets, and I try to have a priority order so that there is less confusion in my head. If I get stuck in a set, I know what is the next set I want to attempt. So when I look at all the 5 sets, I again look at it slightly thoroughly. I don't spend too much time, but I try to see what is the kind of set it is. Secondly, I look at some of the questions to see whether this is a individual question type of set or a group set. An individual question set is basically where you have to solve each question individually. A group set is, once you solve the group, you can answer all the questions immediately. I would always try to prefer a group set as compared to an individual set. So once I go through all of these things, I make a priority order. I say that, okay, I'm going to first attempt the third set, then the second set, something like that. Once I have the priority order, I start with the sets. And if I get stuck in a set, it depends on the type of getting stuck it is. Sometimes I get the answer, but I realize that I made a mistake. I didn't consider a particular case, or I assumed certain things, and I come to the answer, but when I'm looking at the questions, I figured out that, okay, something is not adding up. At that point, I try to understand where I went wrong. And within 30 seconds or 40 seconds, if I'm able to figure out that, okay, this is the mistake I made, I will still stick to that set. I will again solve it. Because if I figured out where I made the mistake, solving it again is much faster. It won't take me 10 minutes or 12 minutes. Once I identified where I went wrong, I have to just correct it. It will be like panic. It will also be like demoralizing, because I feel, okay, I made a mistake. I'm wasting so much valuable time. But I still stick with that set if I've identified where I went wrong, and I try to solve it. And second time I get it correct within like say 3-4 minutes. But if I solve the set and I feel I made it correct, but somehow it is not adding up, and I spend 30 seconds, 40 seconds trying to figure out where I made the mistake, and I'm not able to figure out where I made the mistake, then I leave it, I go to the next set. But I will always try to come back to this set afterwards, because I feel I read the entire set. Because if you understand time, understanding whatever is given in the group also takes a lot of time. It will take you at least 4-5 minutes for you to understand all the instructions that are given in the set. If you're trying to attempt a new set, it is completely new. Here you know the theme, you know the setup, you know who are the characters, you know all of it. but somehow you made some mistake somewhere. You're not able to identify where you made that mistake. But still, this is a massive advantage that you have as compared to a completely new set. The problem is, if I didn't identify where I went wrong, I won't sit there and try to figure out where I went wrong. I will want to give a break for myself, try to solve some other set, but again come back to this set after a small break so that I kind of look at it with a new pair of eyes and try to solve it and try to figure it out. Many times this works out for me.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'll just take another couple of questions and then we'll end this session. Anybody, if he has any questions, you can ask.
Sir, after hearing all this, is it
Hmm.
fair to say that for DILR and QA, specifically at least, the solution to 90% of our problems is just put your head on practice more from either the PYQs or mock?
Yeah, I agree.
Done.
I agree with that. Totally agree with that. The only thing I would tell you is you should also be focused on any exam mistakes that you're making, exam taking strategy mistakes. In the sense that, are you picking the right sets? Are you getting stuck in any set? Okay. Are you missing out any easy sets? Are you able to analyze or evaluate the difficulty of a set correctly? Okay. Those are things I would also discuss with respect to the exam taking strategy. This is with respect to LRDR. With respect to Quant, also I would tell you, are you spending too much time on any particular question? Are you leaving out any easy question because you didn't have time? Okay. All of these things also I would ask you. Basically, with respect to your exam performance, I would tell you to spend some time to introspect. Look at a mock, analyze it, try to figure out where you went wrong, why you went wrong, where you can get 2 extra questions in a particular section. You should always feel that, okay, what should I have done to get 2 more questions correct? That is something where you have to keep asking yourself. Other than that, just solve as many questions as you can.
Right. So just solve as much as you can and introspecting every once in a while as to where I could have done better. Could I really solve most of the problems?
Correct. I agree with that. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Abhishek this side.
Yeah.
Sir, I have 2 questions. One is regarding the revision strategy because I feel like in the recent mocks, one thing is happening, especially regarding quants, that is, I am forgetting certain concepts and certain things. And that is actually affecting my scores. That is point 1. Second one is regarding behavioral issues during DILR. Exactly like I think Ishita just raised regarding her issues in DILR. I was facing the same problem. I was getting stuck in a single set and then wasting more than 5 or 10 minutes even on that particular set and unable to come back. And that has led to my scores from 30s to now back to 20s again. And that has actually also affected my confidence as well. However, in VRC, I'm scoring in 30s, and in quants also, I'm scoring maybe 30, sometimes even 40s. But in DILR, for the last 3 to 4 mocks, I've been scoring consistently in the 20s or even less than that. So how do I work on this, and how should be my revision strategy?
With respect to DLR strategy, okay, I'll tell you what I tell myself. Okay, I always keep my expectations low for DLR. But I know that given a chance, okay, if my expectations are I have to get 2 sets correct. If I get 2 sets correct, I will cover everything else in quant and verbal. That is basically my strategy, which I keep telling myself that it's okay, it's okay. Because if I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well in DLR, if I want to solve 3 sets, many times I will just not even solve 1 set because I feel that pressure that, okay, 5 minutes have gone, 7 minutes have gone, I'm still not making any progress. So just to calm myself, I tell myself that my strategy is 2 sets. And to get 2 sets, what do I need to do? What I need is I have to first evaluate all the sets thoroughly, which is what I told you earlier. I spend around 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes at the start, analyzing and evaluating each of the sets, all the 5 sets. And then if I'm able to pick the easiest set, I give myself a win. I feel that, okay, I've at least done one thing very well, where I'm able to identify the 2 easy sets. And then I try to solve those sets first. If I can get 1 set correct, I'm much more confident. There is much less pressure. And then probably I'll have a good section. But basically, I set my expectations that I just need to solve 2 sets. And once I solve 2 sets, then I go for the third one and then I try to do more. But if I'm putting more pressure on myself, that is, I underperform quite a lot. So I don't do that. That is one thing I would tell you. Secondly, I would say, even if you are not doing well, try to figure out if you have picked the right sets. Because the difference between 30s and 20s is just essentially whether you are able to identify the right sets, the easy sets, and whether you answered it or not. If you didn't pick the right sets, try to think what is it in a particular set that made you think that this is a difficult set, or why was it that you left an easy set. Try to work on those kind of issues. Other than that, don't worry that, okay, you are able to get 30s earlier and in the last 2-3 weeks, it dropped to 20s. Is something going wrong? I don't think anything is really going wrong as far as your aptitude is concerned. Logically also, it won't happen, right? For example, if you are looking at a chess player will not suddenly drop his chess skills. It is just that on a particular day, maybe he's not feeling good, or maybe something or the other is happening where he made some mistakes, or a particular tournament, if he's not doing well, he's just out of form. So don't let it affect you too much. Just try to figure out what is it that made you go down. Secondly, I would say be kind to yourself, keep expectations slightly low, but when you get 1 or 2 sets correct, then you should be hungry. You should never give up in the middle of the examination. But before going to that section, you should not put pressure on yourself. You should tell yourself that it is okay even if I'm scoring 20, 25, it is okay. But once you get 1 or 2 sets correct, okay, try to get into that zone where you're trying to get more sets correct.
Actually, sir, adding to that, before, and you only told that you are not happy with the scheduling set. So in the set mock, this happened that I saw a scheduling set. Like I was not very happy with going on that, but it turned out to be like easy medium set that picked up to the rather medium hard. So
That happens. That happens to me also. But I say that is okay. I'm kind to myself. I tell myself that, okay, I at least have a strategy. My strategy is there are certain types of sets I want to solve. Okay. I try to solve a missing values in the table. I try to solve 4-parameter Venn diagrams. I try to solve simple DIs where it doesn't have like say multiple connections. If you're given like 3-4 graphs, you are given one pie chart, you are given one bar chart, you are given one table, okay, you are given one line graph, then those kind of DIs also I avoid, because I feel that, okay, putting all of that information into one table is painful. I don't want to do it. Maybe it will take too much time. But certain types of DI which doesn't involve too many connections between two different graphs, I would want to attempt. But basically, at least I'm clear about what are the kind of DI, what are the kind of LRs or DIs I want to attempt. Sometimes in the LRs or DIs, I don't attempt. They might be very easy ones. But I tell myself it's okay. I had a strategy and I believe that is a sound strategy, which won't work all the time, but it works sometimes, which is okay. Again, be kind to yourself. Don't like beat yourself up on it.
Understood, sir. Sir, also regarding the revision strategy for QA especially, like how should I plan my next 30 days? Like I have the PYQs pending, then the chapters revision is also pending, and I also have like 7 to 8 mocks pending, and also the sections. So how should I plan to maximize my output?
What I would tell you is I want you to solve a lot of questions. Okay. That should be the key. The goal is you have to solve a lot of questions from all the topics. That should be your key if you're aiming for a high score. Now, which way you approach it is up to you. Now, the questions you solve should also be good quality questions. They should not be like very difficult or very easy questions. This is basically the key. Now, there are some people that I talk to, some like very smart guys, people who might score 100 also. Okay, some students that I talk to. They basically tell me that I want to solve a lot of mocks. I mean, even when I tell them that, okay, don't solve too many mocks, you'll get burnt out. He basically told me that, no, I want to solve mocks because that is the way in which I solve a lot of questions. Then I thought, okay, that's fine. That is his strategy. He's basically doing it. But at the end of the day, I felt that, okay, he's solving mocks to basically solve a lot of questions. He's taking mocks. He said that if I'm just sitting with a book and trying to solve questions, I don't get that like excitement or that concentration. But if it is a mock, I am very serious about a mock and I solve a lot of questions in 2 hours. That I thought, okay, that is a very smart way of looking at it. And it is something that is working for him. But basically, at the end of the day, you have to figure out what is it that you should do to solve a lot of questions. Solving a lot of questions is my suggestion. How you do it is up to you. You should also find a good source of material to solve questions. I personally would advise previous year's papers, but again, it is up to you. You have to figure out what is the source you want to solve, what is the method you want to solve, but you have to solve.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a two-part question. So, firstly, what is happening usually is that in the recent mocks, I'm losing a lot of confidence in VARC. So it is tending to letting me to go back to the passage itself. So basically, whenever I'm marking my options, I'm going back to verify the passage again. Okay. So I'm losing time over there. And sir, one more question was basically this is actually for all the sections that how do you come back, or how do you go ahead when you feel that you're behind the timer? So for example, I've given too much time to one particular hours. Let's say 8 to 9 minutes, 9 to 10 minutes to one particular hours. How do you go ahead over there. So what I have been doing is basically if I do that, I often have to skip out on one RC during the mock. So any particular tips for like what do you do when you're behind the timer in LD section? Like
Okay, I'll tell you, good question. I'll tell you section wise when I'm behind the timer what I do. In verbal, I'm rarely very far behind the timer. Okay, because I'm very clear as to where I should be at what point of time. I know that I want to solve 2 RCs first. I'll solve 4 verbal questions after that. Then I'll solve the third RC. Then I'll solve 4 verbal questions. And finally, I'll solve 1 RC. That is my strategy. I'm very clear about it. Okay, there is no confusion. And I want to solve 2 RCs and 4 verbal questions, which is exactly half of the passage, half of that section in 20 minutes. And I want to solve the second half in the next 20 minutes. Now, suppose I got stuck in any RC. I know immediately that, okay, I'm falling slightly behind time. Then I try to like read faster and I give up on my accuracy and just mark something which feels good and then go ahead. Now, I know that in that particular RC, because I'm trying to solve it faster, I'm not rereading it, I'm making some educated guesses and all, my accuracy will suffer, but that is okay. I identify that I'm falling behind much quicker, much earlier. It won't happen that in the last 3 minutes, I have an entire RC left. That won't happen because I'm very clear as to in VA where I should be at what point in time. Like I told you, I want 2 RCs and 4 verbal questions to be done by the first 20 minutes. Then I'll be left with 2 RCs and 4 verbal questions, which is the next 50%. So if I'm falling behind, I will identify at the start only and I sacrifice accuracy for speed so that I again make up. In LRDA,
so sorry to
yeah.
interrupt in this, sir. So basically, should I like focus for the next few mocks on basically I want to reach wherever I want to like the particular timer is.
Yeah,
For example,
definitely,
I made a
definitely.
point of
Yeah,
1 minute per hour. So should I try few sections or a few mocks that I'm only focusing on this key? I have to be on time.
Definitely, you should do it. That I think is very, very important. The second thing I forgot to answer, you mentioned that you give up an RC, right? Or you don't attempt an RC. That I think is not at all a good strategy. No. You have to attempt all the questions. If you are aiming for 99.5 plus or 99 plus, you have to attempt all the RC, all the questions in VA. It is okay if you leave 1 or 2 verbal questions, verbal ability questions, because you are absolutely not sure. If it's a para-summary question where you are not at all sure and you want to leave it, I would say it's okay. You can leave it. But if you shouldn't leave an RC, man, RC is 12 marks. 12 marks is huge. Okay. Every competitor, every other student is going for all 72 marks and you are going only for 60 marks is such a big disadvantage. So that is something I would advise you to not do. On the other hand, give up some accuracy to go for speed in verbal. That is what I would tell you. With respect to LRDA, like I told you many times also, I am very nervous of LRDA, man. Okay, I feel if I panic in LRDA, the entire section can go completely bust. Okay.
Same, sir. Happens a lot of time.
So basically, my exam strategy for LRDA is that I have to do everything I can to keep my composure. If my composure is good, if I'm not panicking, if I'm not nervous, I will do better than whatever is needed in LRDA. So for that, I designed this strategy where for the first 2 minutes, I go through all the 5 sets and I go through all the sets trying to identify which is what type of set, which is the set, which is group question, which is individual question. Those are things that I identified. Then I try to get I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, but I want to get 1 set correct in the first 10 to 12 minutes. If I can do that, this section will go smoothly. If I get stuck in that set, okay, then I want to get the second set correct. At that point, I tell myself that, okay, I'm not going to crack this section. If I get the first set correct in 10 minutes, I feel, okay, I'm going to do pretty well. But if say I get stuck in a set, I thought that this was an easy set, but I got stuck in that set, then I immediately recalibrate. I tell myself, it's okay. Now I have 30 minutes left. I just need 2 sets. So I have 15 minutes per set. It is okay. I'll try to calm myself down. And I'll try to basically salvage the section where I'm not going to do very well in that section then, but I'll try to do, like say, okay. I try to tell myself that it's okay. You have 30 minutes. You have 15 minutes per set. You'll get 2 sets correct. And maybe some of your theta guesses will also work. So that is how I try to motivate myself. And I try to recalibrate immediately and not give up. In Quant, basically, I'm very ruthless in Quant. Whenever I see that, okay, there is a question where I'm spending too much time, I leave it and I go to the next one. Or I mark something and mark for review and go to the next one. That I'm very good at because I have a lot of confidence that when I come back to solve that question, I'll get it correct faster the second time. Because if you think about it logically, like in LRDI, even in Quant, if it is say an arithmetic question, which is like a long question, for you to read that, understand it, whatever is given in it, will take some time. It will take you 1 or 2 minutes to understand what exactly is the question that is asked. Now, when you're coming to answer it the second time, that entire thing will be done in 15 seconds. You have gone through, and so you forgot the setup. But once you come back to that question, you can immediately understand what exactly is the question within 15 seconds. So you don't need to spend all of the time the second time you solve it. And so second time when I come back to try to attempt it, I get it correct pretty quickly. And I have that confidence. So whenever I feel that I'm spending too much time on it, I try to see if I can make some educated guess, mark it for review and go to the next one. Or I just go to the next one. I don't, again, I'm very clear about where I should be in quant also, like in verbal. So I don't fall behind quite a lot. It is possible that my accuracy suffers because I'm marking something, making educated guesses. That happens sometimes, especially in CAT 2023, man. It was just like one very, very difficult section where I was doing many of these questions were just educated guesses because I was just not able to solve it in that particular type. It was just a very difficult paper. But it didn't mean that I didn't look at all the 22 questions. I looked at all the 22 questions, but I got many of them wrong. But not because I got stuck in any question or I wasted a lot of time in any question. I was always going ruthlessly. My accuracy went down, but my speed did not.
And so that one thing regarding the confidence issue regarding VRC, that I'm going back to the RCs to check whether I can evaluate all the 4 options again.
Okay.
Like I was like 30% confident, but I still tend to go back to the passage. That is only happening recently. That was happening around, let's say, 15-20 days ago. That was not an issue.
Okay, I'll tell you.
PMOX has scored really low, so I'm tending to go back now.
Okay, don't do that. What I would tell you is this, okay? In quant, after you mark something, you can be sure that that is the correct answer. Many times we know that I marked this is the correct answer, I'm getting this correct. In verbal, very rarely will you feel that I'm 100% sure. You would feel that I marked this question, I'm 80% sure. Okay. It is very rare that in verbal, you will feel, for many questions, you will feel very sure that you will feel that, okay, I got all of these questions correct. That won't happen.
Yes, correct.
So, by spending some more time, your chances or your accuracy will go from, say, 70% to 75%. For that, you should not waste time. In quant, on the other hand, your accuracy will go from 70% to 100%. If you're spending some more time, you'll definitely get it correct. Okay. But in verbal, don't go back to the passage and all. Just accept that this is what you think. Your accuracy in this question or in this RC might not be great, but it is okay. Don't waste a lot of time trying to reread the passage or going to cross-check. All of these things don't do. Because your accuracy will not improve a lot in verbal, just because you're spending time. It will improve only a little. Okay?
Okay, sir. So thank you so much.
Okay, man, guys, I have to go now. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Okay? All the best for your exams.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.